this video will have potentially a lot of triggers, because we are going to be discussing the very triggering energy of the Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus at 26 degrees that is happening exactly on July 15th, conjunct the malefic star Algol. Now, you know me, if you've been watching my videos, and if you haven't, I'm going to tell you, I'm a very optimistic person. I have Jupiter strong in my chart. I'm always trying to put a positive spin on energy, absolutely. But sometimes there's aspects that are just harsh. But one of the great things about astrology is that it gives us a heads up of energies that could be potentially explosive and problematic, so that we can be aware and alert for any potential implications. And potential means exactly that. I'm going to break down this aspect, this transit that's happening, as I said, exact on July 15th, but we may feel it a week before and we may feel it up to a week after. Now, I'm going to analyze this, and I'm also going to break it out sign by sign, what you might want to look for. You can watch for your rising sign, your sun sign, your moon sign. I would suggest, and kind of combining the messages, I will leave timestamps in the description. But remember, this is not a guarantee of this thing happening, but it is a potentiality. So this is not to freak anybody out or throw yourselves into a panic. Remember, knowledge is power and awareness is power. And that is what I am attempting to do here, is bring you awareness and empower you to be alert to the energies, which is why this is an Astro Alert with me, Stella Wilde. All right, let's first discuss just the aspect of Mars conjunct Uranus. And if you don't want the whole astrological backstory to everything, then just, again, fast forward to the timestamps to your sign. It's fine. Mars conjunct Uranus is explosive energy. We know Mars can get feisty, can get angry, can get impatient. We know Uranus can flash off, can kick off like thunderbolts, like lightning, can come out of the blue, and all of a sudden there's massive disruptions, and we don't know how it started, where it came from. So when we have a conjunction, that is an intensification of the energy. So Mars conjunct Uranus brings potentiality of explosive, out of the blue, possibly violent, possibly cutting, possibly accident-prone type energies. And it's in Taurus, which is a sign, you know, the bull is usually very placid. Think of the bull out in the field. He's just hanging out with the other cows and he's chewing his grass and he's happy until somebody annoys him, until somebody comes into his field and starts making a ruckus and getting all dramatic. He doesn't like that, right? And you keep acting that way. He paws at the ground a little bit and he's warning you, right? To get out of his field. He don't want you there, right? But you don't listen and you keep doing things in his territory that upset him. Sooner or later, he's gonna kick off, right? Up to a certain point, Taurus will be patient and hope that you'll get the message. But after a certain point, the bull sees red, all hell can break loose. And the explosion, think of volcanic energy. That's very much Mars conjunct Uranus in Taurus. Volcanic explosions. We could see something erupt geomagnetically and geographically with this potential aspect also, right? But this is more, we're focusing more on the personal in this video. But we need to be alert to that, you know? So if you live in an earthquake-prone area, as an example, I mean, you know, have your earthquake kit or your plan ready. Like I used to always have my hurricane plan ready when I lived in North Carolina. Okay, so it's a similar concept. Just be ready for what might potentially develop. So we could be dealing with triggering situations that all of a sudden kind of exacerbate into a drama. So we need to be alert to that and not allow ourselves, in my opinion, to get sucked into an overreaction, to allow ourselves to get triggered. Now, I'm not saying we should deny our feelings. If we get triggered and we get upset, it doesn't mean we ignore that. But we want to make sure that we're not being reactionary and doing something that perhaps could worsen the situation or bring harm to ourselves or other people. We gotta try to count to 10, and we gotta like chillax. Remember, not reactive, but responsive. Now, as I said a few moments ago, this conjunction, it's already, intense, but it's conjunct this fixed star, Algol. So now we're going to have a little story time, going back to some Greek mythology and discussing that and why it's important and its possible implications for this transit. Now, Algol, Algol, has been called the demon star because it is associated with the head of Medusa. And if you remember Medusa, she was the monster, I'm going to put it in quotes, the monster who Perseus killed. He was sent out on a mission to take her out because the person who sent him on a mission was hoping that Perseus would get taken out. So it's kind of interesting twist there, but that's a whole other story. But Medusa, she had a rather sad story herself. She's been portrayed as this demon monster, but in reality, she was tricked. She was made a victim. She was a beautiful goddess. She was pure and chaste. She worked in Athena's temple. She was one of the handmaidens there. And Poseidon, also known as Neptune, lured her into Athena's temple, and unfortunately he defiled her. He had his way with her. He did harm to her. You can use your imagination with that. I don't need to spell it out. When Athena found this out, Athena got really annoyed, and she was not, girl power. Okay, she was like, Medusa, blame the victim. She blamed Medusa. She's like, what the hell, girl? What'd you do? Right? She didn't blame Neptune / Poseidon. They have, Greek and Roman names. So she exiled Medusa, who was the victim in this. She exiled her. She made her ugly. She made her hair into snakes. And she exiled her to this island where she was with her two sisters. That's, again, another story. But anyway, so this poor Medusa, right? Wouldn't you be a hater after that? Wouldn't you be suspicious and triggered by a male presence? Now, we're not, of course, saying men are bad, we're talking about a myth from many thousands of years ago, okay? So don't come for me in the comments. All right, so she was, she was in a bad state. So she was given this power to turn men to stone. Anybody who looked at her, met her gaze, was automatically turned to stone. You could say that became a self-protective mechanism, but it also, when she was triggered, this is what happened. Now, to me, it's interesting that Neptune, who perpetuated this whole chain of events in motion and who caused the problems, Neptune energy is associated with Pisces, as we know. And again, no offense to Pisces placements, but Neptune is associated with alcohol and drunkenness. And it's interesting that Algol, that word, is associated in Arabic with the word alcohol. Also, Algol, Algol, in Greek means pain. So it's interesting to look at the etymology, the history of words, to see other layers of meaning that we can glean from the backstory to this energy. So there is the pain that was perpetuated upon Medusa. Who knows? Maybe Neptune had a few and decided he was just gonna, do whatever he wanted, or he just did that anyway. But this is gonna come into play in a moment. Perseus was tasked with, as I said before, going to find Medusa and killing her, because the king who sent him on that mission was hoping Perseus would get killed because he was trying to get into the pants of Perseus's mother, and Perseus was trying to protect his mother from this malevolent king who sent him on the mission. But Perseus was smart, And he used a special shield, and he had a special sword, I think from Hermes, I want to say. It was somebody. He had a special sword, he had a special shield, and he was able to use the shield as a mirror. He backed into the cave. He cut off Medusa's head while she was sleeping. It was a sneak attack. So this poor Medusa, ended up losing her life because of a chain of events where somebody defiled her, where she was a victim. And what's interesting too is that this star is in the sign of Taurus, which rules the neck. And poor Medusa, as I said, was, beheaded. Taurus has a lot to do with the throat, the voice, as I said, the neck, the shoulders. So when Perseus put an end to Medusa's life, he silenced her. And how often are, victims of unholy acts, shall we say, silenced or not believed? So depending on how you experience this transit, you could be experiencing it from a place of yourself getting angry because you may feel powerless. You have no voice in something that is going on that possibly triggers you. But we have to remember, when you lose your head, when you lose your rag, when you blow your top, whatever phrase you would like, you can bring misfortune to yourself, right? Because anger, when we get angry like that bull that sees red, right? You don't see common sense. You don't see what's in front of you. You rush in impulsively and just want to, and people get hurt. And sometimes you end up hurting yourself worse. And because there is an association with alcohol, with this energy, with this Mars-Uranus conjunction, please be very alert to yourself overindulging, other people around you overindulging. Drinking and driving is never a good idea. Okay, and there's no excuse in these days. There's Ubers, there's bicycles, okay, there's public transportation. There is no reason to drink and drive. There is no reason. Okay, and Mars-Uranus conjunct, and if there is some alcohol imbibing where you lose your head and you go past reasonable limits, you could cause some sort of accident through that type of thing. You possibly could get triggered also. If you're perfectly sober, you could get triggered by people around you who are not sober. And we know that when some people drink alcohol, they say all sorts of nasty things, right? They say nasty things. So that needs to be watched for also. Don't let that trigger you. Consider the source. See where that comes from. As the saying goes, hurt people hurt people. So you just really want to be cognizant of this energy right now, right? Keep your distance from people who are hurt or maybe overindulging in alcohol or other substances that cause them to not have good judgment. Just remove yourself from the situation. Do not engage. Now, on the day that this energy is exact, the moon's going to be in Scorpio, which is its debilitation, right? The moon is at its fall in Scorpio. So, people could feel particularly ruthless. People could feel particularly triggered. Mercury is also in Leo that day, and that could suggest that we take things very personally. Our pride could get wounded. Mercury in Leo is also squaring the Mars-Uranus conjunction. So again, somebody lashes out and says something because they're trying to be the big man or big woman or inflate their own egos, and they end up triggering somebody in a very hurtful way. So consider the source, but the energies are not great for the exact day of this transit either. But remember, the transit's in play, I would say, a week before and up to a week after. We also have Pluto opposite Venus in Leo the exact day of this transit, suggesting, again, somebody pulling a power play, somebody throwing their weight around and wreaking havoc and not understanding or not caring about the impact that their actions and words are having on other people, because there's some sort of driving need ego-wise to, be one up on somebody else. All right, I'm going to give some general advice, sign by sign, of some things to look out for. Again, these are potentialities with this transit. Just to keep in the back of your mind, everything I said in this prelude still holds water. Like, just, take the step back, the deep breath before you act. Okay, so we'll break it out sign by sign. All right, Aries. So if your sense of security is threatened, you want to be very careful, okay? Be very aware of your surroundings, especially in dark places, especially the exact day on July 15th, because the moon is in Scorpio, and that's your 8th house. So really pay attention. If your sense of security is threatened, like, listen to your intuition. If you need to remove yourself from a situation, this is not time to be like, charging in like an Aries hero. Also, watch your money and possessions. Keep an eye on suddenly you lose your wallet, or you get distracted by something. You put your wallet down for a second, and then suddenly it gets snatched up while you were looking the other way, and someone has run off with it. All right. So you want to be very alert to those types of things. Don't allow yourself to get distracted, because something could suddenly disappear or become lost or broken because you're too hasty and too in a rush to pay attention. So slow down, pay attention, Aries, these next couple weeks. Haste makes waste. And also that old adage, curiosity got the cat, right? So if it's none of your business, stay out of it. All right, Taurus. So this Mars-Uranus conjunction is obviously happening in your house, right? The house of your physical body. Accidents. You've got to really pay attention. Everybody has to pay attention, but you especially, anything to do with your physical body. You must pay attention to anything sharp that you are using. You're cooking in the kitchen and you're chopping something and you're not paying attention because you're also trying to watch something on TV, and then you slice yourself. You don't want to be doing that. Okay, so pay attention to anything electrical, anything blades, knives, etc., that you get distracted. You don't want to be distracted when you're using things like that. Remember too, like, if you get triggered and you get angry, the hurt could end up coming back on you physically. All right. Like, again, you could, get upset and go punch a wall, and you could really hurt yourself, like, don't take it out on yourself if somebody triggers you. All right. Somebody might trigger you in terms of your identity. Maybe they tease you, make fun of who you are. Maybe they make fun of your physical body. Maybe they don't like who you are or who they perceive you to be, and they make some nasty comments. Don't let it trigger you. And absolutely don't be getting into arguments while you're cooking, while you're driving, while you're using, machinery or knives, that type of thing. Don't be allowing yourself to get distracted in that way when you're doing those things. Okay, so Gemini, you could get triggered with this transit by suddenly feeling that you want to break free, right? You could be feeling all of a sudden like, I got to get out of these constrictions, these restrictions. I feel limited. I got to break out. And if somebody tries to like fence you in, they try to trap you into an agreement, or if you feel somebody's ignoring you and giving you the silent treatment, these types of things could trigger an explosion of anger. So instead of resorting to that, maybe wait till this transit is over and then address the situation with the person. But again, be very careful of suddenly like, I must escape. And then you just kind of start running down the road, or you start driving fast on the highway, or, whatever. Like there's something bubbling up within you that I got to get out. I got to get out. Again, haste makes waste. Anything you do like that, triggered by this emotional, like almost this huge emotional wave of I must get fresh air. I must feel free. Pay attention to that. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And if somebody is trying to give you the silent treatment currently during this transit, it might not be the best time to address it because it could just end up in a big explosive argument. And you want to wait until the time is more constructive for a conversation about it. All right, so Cancer, you could be triggered by some sort of frenemy situation. We all have those, right? So there could be, one of these frenemies could give you some sort of cutting remark, a backhanded compliment, just say something catty or nasty. They could make a comment about your children or your romantic partner. These criticisms that are, the type of criticisms that are presented as helpful advice, but they're not helpful advice. They're not helpful advice. They're trying to get under your skin, right? Okay. They're really trying to cut you down. So be aware of that. Don't allow yourself to get triggered by that. Because really at the end of the day, what's going on beneath all that is jealousy. The frenemy's jealousy for what you have and who you are. All right, Leos, you need to keep an eye on your temper at work, okay? Your public image, especially if you're feeling overlooked in some way, or if you're feeling a little insecure about your position. Maybe you've been listening to the rumor mill or something like that, and you're getting a little freaked out of the things you're hearing. It's helpful to remember that not everything is personal, but you may take it that way if your buttons get pushed, okay? Remember, work is not your family, and they are not your friends. It's a helpful reminder. Emotionally, someone at work may trigger you by acting very similarly to your family of origin, triggering a pattern in you of certain responses. So you just want to be alert to that. It's so interesting to me how, and sometimes very ironic, of how we end up in work situations with people that have the same issues, treat us in the same way as how when we grew up, right? Like we have a boss that's exactly like our mother or father. We have a coworker we share an office with that is just like, our annoying little brother or sister. It's like, it's so interesting to me how that can happen. But don't allow yourself to get triggered at work. You don't want to have this big dramatic outburst or drama, like slamming doors and, craziness and drawing like undue attention to yourself at work. Your public image is at stake with this. So just be very careful. I would say, kind of try to go under the radar with this energy. All right, Virgos. So there could be triggers for you concerning cultural differences and misperceptions. This could be on your part. It could be on somebody toward you. Again, like when we get involved with people, whether friends or romantic partners or even within our family that come from very different backgrounds, we don't always understand where they're coming from. And of course, again, knowledge is power, but when we don't know and we have misperceptions, that can sometimes cause arguments and problems. So just keep that in mind. It may not be anybody's trying to be mean, but there's something culturally that there's a disconnect. You also need to watch out for accidents or disruptions while you are traveling. Okay, please, allow yourself a lot of extra time in traveling, and just take it easy. Keep an eye on getting into fights on the internet with trolls. Okay, just don't do it. Revenge could haunt you. Be careful what you post on social media. What is on the internet stays there forever. So just be very mindful of that. Because also people may challenge your spiritual beliefs at this time, leading to maybe an argument. And then you go all keyboard warrior and you're like, da, 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 da. And then, it turns into a drama. We've seen, people lose their jobs over things they post on the internet. So, these are just things to keep in mind, to be aware of. All right, Libras. So You might be triggered by secrets. You might be triggered by a secret that suddenly comes to light. It could be your secret. It could be somebody else's secret. And quite frankly, it could be shocking. Okay, whatever comes out of the woodwork could be very disturbing. It could cause you to question your judgment. It could cause you to question your own values. You could be like, well, if this is somebody else's secret, you could be like, well, how did I miss that about this person? How did I get involved with that person? But it's not, you didn't know, right? They could have concealed something very, very well, and you didn't know, okay? But here's the other thing too. If you've been hiding, if you've been concealing something a little dubious, shall we say, I don't want to use the word nefarious, but I will. if you're trying to conceal something, it may come out. It may come out, and you know, the reveal could be quite shocking. Someone may be trying to take advantage of you financially as well, or you're trying to take advantage of somebody financially. This is all going to backfire. I mean, Mars conjunct Uranus, it will all backfire. So, you know, don't be doing anything of that. Also, South Node of karmic retribution is in your sign as well. So you don't want to be doing these things, okay? Because South Node will kick you in the butt, okay? Something could be hidden, or something that was hidden about other people's intentions towards you is revealed. Like, you really could finally see, well, wow, this person really didn't wish me well at all. My God, I can't believe it. But again, if that's the case and you find something out, don't immediately start, you know, bashing them on social media or texting them things or whatever. You want to take a step back. You want to just, you know, calm down with the information until you can come up with a more reasonable plan of what you're going to do with that information. So Scorpio, you might be triggered at this Mars-Uranus conjunction by a close relationship, either business or personal, as somebody's true colors may be revealed, and they might be revealed in a very shocking way. You could be wanting to take a stand to preserve and protect what's yours. Again, keep in mind everything I said in the prelude to this video about that. There could possibly be a power struggle and exasperated enough is enough type energy, but that doesn't mean it should get, you know, dramatic. I would suggest with the intensity of these energies, just stepping back. Just step it back, go into your Scorpio lair. You know what I'm saying. Go into your Scorpio cave and just step back. Do not engage with these very intense energies right now. If you get to that enough is enough point with somebody, you know, do that. Be careful of someone suddenly turning on you as well. Just be very alert to the people that you are surrounding yourself with during these transits, people who are around you. And keep very strong boundaries in place. You're already pretty good at not giving out extra information, but be particularly vigilant with the information you are giving out about yourself. You know, go into extra Scorpio privacy lockdown mode if you need to, you know, with what you share with other people, so that you're not giving them a means of entry, you know, where they don't need to be. Sagittarius, you can be triggered by sudden disruptions at work, okay? Somebody might try to blame you for something that goes wrong at work, or something that happens. Somebody at work could play the victim card and they try to make you the bad guy, like, you know. So just kind of keep that in mind. Make sure you have all sorts of proper documentation of what you were doing at work, what was your responsibilities, so that, you know, you have the evidence. I'm not saying you should present evidence right now while the energy's so intense, but just that you have the paperwork to show, no, here's the memo. I was supposed to do this, this, and this. This person was supposed to handle this, etc. You get what I'm saying? CYA, as they say, right? Please handle driving, electrical elements, and sharp objects with care at this time. And to go with our neck metaphor, as I was discussing in the earlier part of this video, do not stick your neck out for someone at this time. even if you feel very sorry for them. If they play the victim and you are extending your neck, right? That's sticking out your neck, right? Going above and beyond, trying to help them. They may turn on you. They may badmouth you. They could, have some other type of reaction that's not pleasant when you were only trying to help them. So I would keep an eye on that. I would not do that even if they're really tugging at your heartstrings. Not while this transit is so intense and active. Just step it back with that. Because it's kind of like no good deed goes unpunished type energy. Capricorn, somebody could get triggered if lines get blurred between romance and friendship. So make sure that roles and expectations are clear so there's no angry outbursts. Okay, you don't want to be blurring any lines there. Like if they're a friend, they're a friend. If they're a lover, they're a lover. Like, Okay. So situationships, like, if you're involved in something like that, just be aware. Okay. Creatively, you could be having some brilliant ideas, but make sure you protect them from the public at this time until you can copyright them, trademark them, etc. Okay, so you want to make sure nobody is trying to muscle in on your creative hard work at this time. People are watching you. Eyes are on you, Capricorn. All right, so just be aware of that. There could be some sort of unexpected declaration of admiration, which is very lovely, right? Who doesn't like that? But consider the source. Is this person giving you this declaration of admiration as a power play? Is it manipulative or is it sincere? It may not be. You need to discern. You need to discern and see, what's going on with that. Aquarius, you want to be really, really careful of electrics in the home, working with electricity, wiring, appliances, etc. Okay, you really want to keep an eye on that if you're doing any sort of DIYs around the house. If something is like a little wonky or shorting out or something, like pay attention to that, unplug it, maybe get an electrician in to check it out. If you have a partner also who's into DIY, because it may not be you, it could be your partner, make sure they're also paying attention, doing any sort of household repairs themselves now, particularly involving electricity. Okay, this is classic energy where you could have forgot to turn off the panel, right? You could have forgotten to turn off the panel. You go to change out a light fixture, and then you get there's electrocution happening. Just please, right? Pay attention. Any sort of things you're doing or your partner's doing. Also keep an eye on your kids and your grandkids that they aren't getting into something around the house that could cause them harm, like playing with matches, knives, sticking their fingers in electrical sockets, etc. Also scissors. When I was a kid at school, my finger got cut by a pair of scissors. I still have the scar. I still have the scar. That's a Mars-Uranus conjunction type energy. That would probably have happened in Gemini, though, ruling the hands. But in any case, scissors also. If your children are making arts and crafts, you're sitting around there and you're using the sharp scissors. They may not be ready for the sharp scissors, okay? So pay attention with the scissors. If you work, right, if you are in the workforce, you may suddenly be called into the office or workplace due to an emergency. It's possible. So there could be some disruptions in home plans or plans with relatives. Try to avoid arguments with family. There's not going to be a resolution. Nobody's going to win. It's just going to lead to more agita. And Pisces, you want to pay really close attention while you're driving. Okay, you must. You must. Also, if you hear a strange noise coming from your vehicle, get it checked out immediately. Don't be just like, oh, it always makes that noise. Okay, maybe it's been making that noise, but now with this conjunction, it's more likely that it gets triggered and something happens with that noise finally. Like it manifests into, the tire falling off or something, okay? If you have a weird spidey sense that somebody's following you, you're going about your errands in your daily life, you're minding your own business, but you have this weird, like, tingly feeling. Pay attention to that. Move to the opposite side of the street if you're walking down the street. That happened to me once, actually, in New York City. That's a long story, but yeah, I felt it. I felt it behind me. I was actually with a friend. And I saw serendipitously, I saw a cop car come around the corner. It was in daylight. And I started waving like this and flagged them down. They came right over. And behind me and my friend were two people who were going to mug us. So this is the type of thing I'm talking about, right? Like, don't stop and try to analyze it. If you feel that spidey sense happening, like, pay attention. Put your phone down while you're out and about. You know, be vigilant. Be aware of your surroundings. Now, I'm not saying something's going to happen, but you want to be alert. Okay, you want to be alert. There could be a ruckus with a neighbor, right? There could be something going on with your neighbors or in your environment. If you hear strange things coming from next door, okay, it's not up to you to fix it or get involved. Call the appropriate authorities, because if you go over there, like, you could get embroiled in their drama, and you do not want that. This is not the type of thing you want to be doing. Call the appropriate people to handle the situation. Okay, it's not your job to fix it. All right, so just be very aware of your surroundings when you're out and about, and be aware of anything to do with your vehicle and when you are driving. So again, remember, knowledge is power. Just take all of this with a grain of salt, because we're not trying to manifest it into our reality, but we also don't ignore reality. And astrology definitely can help us be tuned into possible potentialities and realities that might occur. We always keep a positive attitude, but awareness goes a long way toward helping us escape from difficult situations, or at least not making them worse. Because sometimes, like, if it's something like a travel disruption or something like that, that's out of our hands. We can't help that. But at least we don't have a meltdown in anger at the airport and raise our blood pressure and cause more problems for ourselves and the people around us. That's what I'm saying about using the energies. So, love you guys. Take a deep breath. This too shall pass, but be aware. All right? Take care. Love you guys. See you again soon. Stella Wilde, signing out.